I've been to Alabama. I've been to a lot of NFL places. What they're doing now at Georgia is on a whole nother level. That was Houston coach Dana Holgerson, who's been at West Virginia. You may remember him from there, but now going to the Big 12 I think that's right. It is a different thing right now at Georgia than it is a lot of other places, and I wish we could tell those stories more, which I think is something that Georgia should think about in its current public relations climate. But um, we're going to do our best to tell the stories as we can. And I think that all you have to do is look back at over the last 3 seasons, and Georgia's won all but 2 games. I mean, that's and the season before that they lost two. So in 2019, so they have it's not surprising, and I wrote this after the national championship. It's not surprising that Georgia has gotten to where they're at. It's very serious at Georgia. They are completely committed to winning in ways that I don't think they were in the past. I've lectured y'all many times about this, and I am serious when I say that Georgia was serious about things, but they were not as serious as they could have been. They weren't as committed, I don't think, as they could have been. And maybe that was Mark Rick's fault. I don't know. Maybe that was the institution not understanding how important football can be. Um, Maybe. But I think it was just, now we're in a new era, not just at Georgia, but in college football, generally speaking. I mean, Kirby's been at Georgia now for 7 years. That's a long time. And to play in 3 national championships in that time is an amazing accomplishment, to be honest. Pick up our 2023 guide for the season. You get it free when you pick up Double Dogs. Now, how long we're going to keep going with this, I don't know, but you get them both in the same package. So order that today. You can pick it up at Red Zone, our friends at Red Zone. You can also get this shirt at Red Zone. Talk Kirby to me. I'll put the link to the shirt down below as well. But look at this image of him. I don't immediately have dog instruction. I have to walk over there to get it. I'm too lazy to do that. So this is a knowing smile. The image of Kirby from a season ago that I got, it's not the same. This is relief. This is an image of relief. This is an image of relief. This is not the same image. Now, it's the same photographer, I think. This might be Dylan. This was me for sure that took this shot. But I will clarify that some other time. These are different reactions to the same essentially moment, which is winning the national championship. But the national championship against Alabama was one of relief, and they've been building towards this. And when Dana Holgerson, says that, that's really that's a big statement to make. That Georgia is not like other places, and the other place that it's most like is Alabama. I mean, I don't think there's much question about that. That Alabama's done as good a job as anybody in college football history of winning. And now we're seeing what Georgia can do. I've had this conversation with a lot of guys through the years, through the months, I should say. But I just want to say this out loud. I don't think it's out of the question that Georgia could have a better 10-year run than Alabama just had. And I don't say that lightly, because we're entering an era that's much more kind of complicated than what Alabama dealt with. And that's not to undercut Alabama. Alabama earned those national titles in 9, 11, 12, 15, 17, and 20. They won those. They earned them. They deserved them. But I question. I wonder how serious will Alabama be when Nick inevitably leaves? I don't, and I do think that will happen in the next 10 years, and it could happen that Kirby's gone in the next 10 years. But this program at Georgia right now is in a situation where they've had a horrible offseason. No question. They've had a horrible offseason. But on the field may be the place that they get to focus their energy completely. There's been no shortage of just careless mistakes, errors, uh, etc. by players on this team and by players who are no longer on this team. And they can shift the focus by what they do on the field. There will be, understandably, plenty of questions next week in Nashville about if Georgia's out of control or not. Those questions, I think, are relevant questions. I don't think that's an illogical thing to ask. But I think at the end of the day, for the Dogs, they need to focus on what they can control, which is no longer the past. It's the forward. It's the forward. It's the future. It's the here and now and the future. And, they can do that by the way they play. There's a lot of stuff we're not going to talk about next week in Nashville. Maybe we will. Those of us who are in the media and have been in the media, my criticism of the media over time, I'm in it. I'm not. It's not just some irrational, thing that this notion, like Kirk Herbstreit was talking about earlier today, that the media hates Georgia or people die. That's not what it. That's not based in reality, as everyone knows. He was joking, and but we as a group have been really hollowed out by change. A lot of institutions have been changed in the last 20 years. And so it's made the media in many ways weaker, even though there's many more of us in different ways. But I think for Georgia, all this stuff, the players, if you're Carson Beck or whoever, I am curious to see what media days will be like for the Dogs because, you can't win media days. You can lose it though. You can lose it. I don't think you can really win media days. The two people that I think that jump out to me that I remember in media days was Robbie Caldwell, who was the head coach at Vanderbilt for a season and then fired, and Johnny Manziel after he won the Heisman Trophy, which that wasn't a good off season as I recall. So he had quite a performance at media days as I remember. But you can't win media days, but you can lose it. And, Georgia will go in there with their message and so forth. But I think for me, Georgia is on a different level right now. We'll see what Ohio State and Alabama have to say about that, and Michigan and LSU and Tennessee and, everybody that's out there to win championships. But it's going to be tough to knock off the Dogs. I'll tell you what's not tough. Ordering DoorDash. Make sure you're taking advantage of this offer. It's awesome that they're supporting us and supporting this program and giving you all this entertainment. First order, you're going to get $20 off. The code is DogPostSummer. Make sure you use that, DogPostSummer. A limited time offer in terms apply. That's 50% off at $20 minimum subtotal. No dollars in delivery fees. They have a slew of restaurants, fast food, etc. that you can get. It's just so easy. Even if you've used it the first time, like I think a lot of you have, tonight's a great night to use DoorDash. It's 7:30. I got delayed on this video. We're gonna probably go with DoorDash when my wife gets home because it's just too late. So it's a great example of the time to use it. But I think when getting back to Dana Holgorsen saying, I've been to Alabama, I've been to a lot of NFL places. What they're doing at Georgia right now, what they're doing right now at Georgia is on a whole nother level. It is. It is on a whole nother level, but they've got to continue that, and the performance is what matters the most. When did that change? When did Georgia sort of get to the next level, so to speak? I do think it was when there was Kirby taking a look at, himself, his program after the win in the Peach Bowl, I think that JT coming back. I do think there are. I think there are times when it's obvious things have gotten better, and there are times when things just add up or subtract away. But I think it was the combination of the slow build through the 2020 season, and by the time you turned around and it was 2021, they were ready for that season. They really didn't play great against Clemson and pretty well dominated that game, certainly defensively. Then the just total destruction of everybody, or the dog destruction, as it were, of everybody in their way until Atlanta. I mean, the games were not competitive. So it may have been that time that they, it may have been that time when Georgia kind of found itself in a way. But, this is not a mistake or an accident. They have earned this. They have worked for this. They have planned for this. And they should win. And I expect them to win this fall. Now, will they win the national championship? We'll see. But I certainly don't think that's out of the question.